Now maybe white goes a5, tries to go b6. Oh, he just goes b6 right away. Very interesting. So Michael has gone into full, I think, full swindle mode. Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? We are now live. I'm here with Dylan and Michael. These are, hey guys, these guys are new to the channel. Yeah, well, they're going to be doing some training. We'll get to that. They have their own YouTube channel called Chess Lifestyle. They also have a Twitch, although they don't currently do a ton of streaming, but you should go follow them on YouTube. The link is, I think it's in the chat. And, well, maybe you guys could just explain what your YouTube channel is about real quick.
Or Michael.
Okay. Yeah, so basically what we do, it's kind of like a vlogging chess channel. So we kind of talk about what it's like to really be an aspiring chess professional in the form of some vlogs. We do some educational content, but a lot of like more funny content as well. And hopefully when tournaments start up again, we're really going to get into full force with like some nice vlogs of the different tournaments that we're entering. So yeah, I consider both of us to be chess amateurs right now, but we're hoping to improve and strive for titles or more.
Yep.
Yeah, so you guys are both like club players, right? I think your rating's around like 1900 FIDE. And
right.
Your ambitions is to get to 2300?
I'm not really setting a limit on my own growth. I mean, my first goal is just to achieve USCF expert, although I'm moving to London soon, so I don't know how I'm going to achieve that. But yeah, long term, no real ceiling for me, hopefully.
Yeah, I think for me as well, like no real ceiling, but I'm going to try and take each step at a time. So probably, I feel like right now my chess level, I'm playing at around maybe 2100 plus kind of strength. So it would be really nice to like hit like 2000 FIDE sooner or later. But yeah, like for myself, like I was doing a lot more chess as a junior, but then I kind of like didn't do any training for a good 5-6 years. So I kind of plateaued at this level, but in the last year I started like training again. And yeah, I can feel myself learning all of these new ideas. So it's nice.
Yeah, conversely, I haven't, I just got into chess in the last decade. So I was an adult. So I didn't have the exposure as a child. So I've been
interesting.
And working really hard to improve.
How old were you when you learned, Dylan?
I was 19.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I knew how to play since I was 8. I played with my dad, but that was it. I only learned the chess world was a thing when I got to undergrad.
But when you were a kid, you learned like how the pieces move. Did you learn stuff like en passant and castling?
Yeah. So I played casually. I knew all the rules. I don't remember if he taught me en passant or not, but I started beating my dad like right away. But then I really had no outlet beyond that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, there's an ongoing theory about like, or debate about like whether well, everyone knows it's easier for kids to learn chess, but the question is it easier for an adult to learn if they just like learn the basics when they were really young versus someone who learns the rules when they're an adult? I think it's still easier if you at least like learn some of those like fundamental pieces like when you were a kid. That kind of like stays with you. Do you guys have USCF ratings?
Well, I'm from the UK my whole life, so I do believe I've got a USCF Blitz rating. It might be in the low 2000s, but I'm not 100% sure. I did play one tournament.
Yeah, and since I've been in the UK for the last couple of years, I'm home now because of COVID, but I haven't been playing actively in the USCF circuit, so my rating is about 1700.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll tell you guys one thing that I found really useful once I heard on stream was that I think it was Svidler who said I was an FM at the time. I think I had like 2 IM norms, and I was having a hard time getting the third one. And he said something. It was basically like an FM is just an IM who hasn't played enough chess. And I thought that was definitely, that made sense to me. And that really helped. It actually like took a lot of pressure off. And it gets harder as you go up. Like it's really hard to go from like 23
Yeah,
to
did you
2400.
extend the same analogy from IM to GM or no?
I'm not sure. I don't know. GM's really tough. No one said it so far. So someone it's yeah above my pay grade.
Well, maybe
Um,
when someone ends up telling you that, then you'll make the leap, huh?
yeah, once like someone credible says that, because he could have said it about IMs, but he didn't. He specifically said FMs. So I don't
Totally broke it.
I don't know. But for you guys, I think it's definitely true. I feel like wherever your rating is now, like yeah, the difference between you and like your next kind of goal is just playing a bunch of chess, analyzing it, learning some new ideas, improving your skills, etc. Right? But it's just like just a matter of time, basically.
Right.
So,
What do you guys do currently for your training?
as I was saying before the stream started, Michael and I spend every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, a few hours per day on middle game studies on Saturday and end game studies on Sunday. And then throughout the week, we prep those lessons so we have some extra exposure to new ideas and from both sides. So we coach each other back and forth.
Yeah, so actually, I learned this idea from one of my friends at uni, an international master called Ravi Harriet. And basically, what he would do with his training partners would be one, even if one person is weaker or one person is stronger, you'd dedicate like 3 hours of time and you'd spend 1.5 hours of one person teaching the other, and then the other 1.5 hours, the other person teaching the other. And the good thing is that you don't need to be at exactly the same level, or one person has to be better to coach the other player, because like as long as you've got an engine and you've prepped the material well, you can still teach it well as long as you're within reasonable levels of each other. And I think it's the same way how like the top players in the world, they get coached by people weaker than them because
Right.
they can't get people stronger. So I think it's a really effective method to just like I don't know, push forward with learning new content, because I feel like when you're trying to study on your own, like I feel like that's all the advice out there is like, oh, like no one talks about trying to do things together. But as soon as you like collaborate and you set a time of the week where you're forced to actually commit and like study, then it actually like gets you to do it, and then you see the improvement. So, like,
And Michael and I have slightly different routines outside of the weekend sessions with each other. But personally, I spend at least half hour to an hour every morning doing tactics first thing on a tactics trainer. And then throughout the week, I do various things like work on my openings. I'm developing like a full repertoire, comprehensive like set of files for my repertoire. I'm working on that right now. And yeah, just random other things, reading books, etc. So
cool, because it's funny because actually that's like the opposite to me, because I'm super lazy, so I haven't been practicing my tactics, and I haven't been really working on my openings too much. I have been preparing one new opening, which I may or may not save because I might play it against Dylan this session. I haven't decided yet, but in general, like I'm really just working on my like chess fundamentals in terms of like middle game strategy, like learning how to really play with the initiative, how to attack, getting back to like end game basics. Like there's another really great Twitch streamer, at least in my opinion, called GM Nakesans, and he does these boot camps every Friday. He's a Latvian GM, and some of the content of these boot camps have been great, like on some like rook end games, bishop and rook versus rook, this kind of stuff, and it's just like really great material. So there's so much great content. Of course, just Chess Dojo as well. Like just just keep working on it throughout the week, and you'll see results.
Nice. Yeah. Now there's just like no excuse because there's just so much good material out there. I do really like what you guys do with like prepping material for each other. Because you can use the engine to just kind of like try to understand the point of some puzzle and help each other out. It's something actually Agard writes about in some of his latest books, just the importance of like, or how beneficial it can be to have a training partner. I've always felt like I got a ton of, oh, nice. I always felt I got a ton of benefit from having a partner to kind of like push you, because I mean, it's just very obvious. Like if you set out to do like 6 problems, on your own, you can quit at any time and no one will see you. But if you set out with a partner, no one wants to be the guy that quits. So you guys will probably finish. For the better. I mean, you'll enjoy it more in the process. Does this mean an NM is an FM who hasn't played enough chess? I mean, I think so. I think, yeah. I mean, these all these rating limits are just arbitrary anyway. It's all about just putting in the work and just being curious and trying to learn some new ideas. So anyways, what we're going to be doing today is Dylan and Michael will be playing a couple of rapid games. They'll be on their own. I'll be doing some commentary, and then afterwards they'll come back to discuss the game. I'll give my thoughts on it, and then if we have time, we might even like run the game through an engine just to see if we missed any particular points. Okay, you guys ready to play?
Okay,
Yeah. Also,
great.
if anyone wants a ladder game, I'm on the ladder and I'm available. Maybe not next week, but the week after starting, I'll be available for ladder games weekly.
Awesome. All right. So let's flip around. All right, we got Dylan playing black, Michael's playing white. He started with f4. Okay, bird's opening. And f3, c6, e3, bishop g4. I mean, I think there's a lot of things black can do here to get a very reasonable position. I would say black is already absolutely fine. A setup I like against the Dutch and bird is to go for g6 and bishop g7. And then playing like c5, knight c6. I think this is a good one. Or b6, bishop b7, knight d7. I think this is also like a pretty decent setup for black. But yeah, long story short, there's a ton of stuff. Bishop takes f3. Okay, black takes this one. So this was the game. Knight d7, d3, takes, e5. And this is what we have now. This is live. So it's interesting. He takes kind of unprovoked, but he does get e5 in. Maybe he could have spent a tempo playing knight f6 first and then see if white plays h3 and then go for this. But I doubt white plays h3, so I'm not sure. So takes, e5. This is what we got. Actually, FM and NM are further apart than you may think, right? Because FM is a FIDE title, 2300, and NM is a US title, 2200, but US ratings are usually about 100 points inflated over FIDE ratings. So US 2200 is usually like FIDE 2100. So it's about 200 FIDE points. Wow, e4. Okay, Michael strikes back on the light squares. Yeah, Charlie, getting some rapid. Well, the idea of this stream is to actually give players kind of an idea of what they can do on their own, like if they want to do some serious training. I think my role in this is actually pretty minimal. Like these guys are going to be playing the game, then they're going to be discussing and analyzing on their own. And then, okay, I'll give my thoughts, but also they can just check with the engine after the game and see what they missed in their analysis, you know, and that's something people can do at home. d4, f5. Yeah, I wouldn't like that for white actually. Because then black goes bishop e7 and takes over the dark squares. I think black would be doing pretty good here. But we don't have to play f5 as white. We can castle, and then I think white has a pretty reasonable King's Indian. This was a bird's opening. f4, d5, bishop g4, takes e5. Now e4. So not gonna get a lot of like opening intrigue in this game. There's just like many ways to play this one, but this will be an interesting middle game discussion. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about e4. I think this is okay, but you can also just castle here as white. Just continue a little bit more flexibly. But e4 is interesting. It really puts the question to black. 1g5 against f4. I mean, why? Why do you need it this? Like, your opponent played f4 and you want to play like a worse move. Like, or like a more extravagant move, right? Like, it's like you want to outdo your opponent. Just take the center, you know? I've played a lot of f4, never faced g5. Okay, it sounds like David's watching. Alright, we got d4 on the board. Now we'll see how Michael handles this one. Just castles. Okay, good. Very flexible. I'm glad he didn't just play f5. By the way, David, I think, like, you know, we're always thinking about this, like, reality show. So this could be kind of like a possible model. We get some club players. Basically, we do POG champs, but with club players. Like 18, 19, 2000 rated players. Maybe we get like 8 of them. Tons of them out there. We give them like some, like one with like working with 2-player coaching sessions. Maybe they like play each other. And then at the end we have a tournament, you know, knockout style. And we can stream that. So basically we would need like 8 club players willing to do what Dylan and Michael are doing right now. Just like being willing to play on camera, talk about the games, be pretty open with their training. I would definitely be happy to do an NM Swiss. We just don't have a ton of. We would need some NMs. Like, we don't have a whole zoo of national masters to choose from, you know. But if we got enough players, I would absolutely have that. Actually, Kaden, would you want to play in like one of the round robins? You know, the 90 plus 30 tournaments. Okay. Yeah, talk to me in Discord. We can get you in. 90 plus 30 though. So like classical time control. Yeah. Actually, I don't like the whole writing down your thoughts while you're playing thing. Yeah, I know a lot of players do it on Lichess. I feel like that's more of a social thing rather than a useful chess thing. I mean, at least growing up, I always just had to remember my thoughts, and eventually, you know, you learn to just, well, you go over your game the day of or the next day, and you try to remember as much as you can, and you input your thoughts into your chess space after the game. You know, you annotate the game basically. But during the game, I don't know if it's wise to be writing stuff. I think it's mainly going to be distracting. Yeah, writing down variations is, yeah, essentially helpful. But I think what most people do is like, you know, I feel pretty good about my position, and my plan is to like try to attack his king or something. It's like, okay, I think you can just remember this. Who is the talented painter? I think Dylan is. But how did you know one of them is a painter? Oh, it's on their YouTube. Got it. Okay, bishop d6. Definitely logical move. So now the King's Indian move here could be to just go like g3. We can definitely think about f5 here for white, but then I would honestly just consider switching back and again going after this one, because if black can trade these bishops, it's going to be really hard for white to do anything, and he's just going to be left with a bad bishop for the rest of the game. I mean, it's not like the worst bishop in the world, but it's white will have to do work to get it active. You know, you can play c3 and try to get it to b3, but that takes a lot of time. What about c3 here? That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Because I mean, like, just keeping like all of these possibilities open, because black is still a little bit underdeveloped. And trying to get this structure like c takes, e takes, and then having the two pawns. My guess is black would respond with c5. But this feels like, I mean, of course, very normal King's Indian idea. Can go here, or maybe think about knight d2. Bishop g4. Okay, a little bit unusual. I mean, I know Michael's from England. I can't help but calling it a cheeky move. I think I understand now. This is what a cheeky move is. It's like something that like kind of makes sense, but like would not be your first thought in a position. Yeah, I mean, it improves the bishop, but I don't know. It feels like he's trying to generate some play on the f-file, like maybe intending to take on e5, but black is going to be ready to take with the knight and cover f7, so I don't think this is going to be super... Like, black is really happy to get this square on e5, so I'm not clear on what exactly white's idea is. My first thought would be to just play like knight f6 here for black. And then maybe if takes... Unless white can play bishop g5, but I don't think they can, right? Bishop g5, we just take this one. Queen takes, knight takes, and we're gonna be up a piece in the end. So yeah, what's white gonna do on knight f6? Even bishop takes h2, yeah, simple. So knight f6 played. Now I would expect bishop h3, yeah, like Caden says. And David. Technically, who is more developed? I would say white. I would say when you have the king developed, this is a pretty nice advantage, because bishop on c1, I would argue, is participating in the game. I wouldn't say this is like an undeveloped piece, because it is kind of exerting some pressure in the position. But okay, now that black gets this move, he's very close to castling, so I wouldn't really say black is like behind in development at this point. Oh, the players? Oh, I don't know. Okay, a4. Now playing on the queen side, he's willing to give up the bishop, which is fine. I mean, we talked about how this bishop has a possibility of being a bad piece. But it seems a little bit... Well, okay, he's just taking it slow. I would say white had kind of more aggressive ways of playing. Like earlier, I think c3 was quite sharp, but this is kind of more like positional. How many moves till little rooks can see each other? That's a good principle. Okay, now queen c7. Strategically, this move makes a ton of sense because the queen really well placed on this square. for several reasons. Queen e7 I think would have been logical too. Okay, white takes. Yeah, I was half expecting this once he was okay with black taking on g4. Now logical would be to take with the knight just to reinforce the e5 square. Only reason not to do this one would be something tactical, but if there's nothing tactical, nothing like queen g4 or fe5, I can just take. Okay, f5. Alright, so now Michael has decided it's time to close things up. Probably this is the right call. Now that he's traded off his bad bishop. Queenside castling. I did this once. I like castled queenside in like a similar position as black when my opponent was playing this like King's Indian style. And my friend said, like, he said something so funny. He was like, these kinds of moves deserve to be punished. But the position was quite different. I think it was much more open. Like white already had c3 in and like was much more developed on the queen side and basically just like opened things up and killed me very quickly. So it's kind of here, I mean, queen side is still pretty close, so I think this is certainly logical for black. Not that he was necessarily getting checkmated if he went kingside, but I can understand the instinct to go queenside. Yeah, now it seems like most natural plan would be to put knight on c4. I agree. c3 here is another move you could play. Although I would say it's not obvious to me that white is better, actually. I think the position is pretty close to equal, actually. So for black, possible ideas here include, I would say, bringing this knight maybe to f6, but ideally black could go like king b8, c5, c4, put the knight on c5. But that's going to be very difficult to do. White can play b3 at any moment. They can play c3 and c4. So that one's kind of a pipe dream. Does white have more space? I think we would argue that black has more space because we're the ones that actually have an advanced center pawn. White has more space on the king side. Yeah, but typically King's Indian positions are considered, this side having more space in general. But now that white has traded off some minor pieces, black's space advantage is not felt at all. So it doesn't feel like either side has a real space advantage anymore, because that's what a space advantage is. It's when your side has room for all of your pieces to find good squares and the opponent's side does not. Their pieces are kind of fighting back or fighting against each other. Like classic examples when we have knight on f6, bishop on c8, and then all three of these pieces can like use the d7 square, but obviously only one piece can sit there at a time. But once you trade off some minor pieces, you really free up your position and it becomes much easier to play. Okay, g6. Yeah, it's a good point. So on g6, white doesn't really have to react to this yet because gf5 I would say is not a huge threat, as we can just go rook takes f5, and the g file I think is not going to be a big deal. But g6 definitely makes sense. Yeah. Ooh, f6. I'm not sure about that one, because that gives life to black's knight. I think knight f8 is like an instant move here. Yeah, now I think I'm starting to prefer black. f6 was it definitely feels like a mistake. I don't know. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe Michael has some trick, but I don't see it. h5 looks okay, but I think the priority has to be to improve the knight. We got to talk about this after the game. Because now this gives white time to go knight f3, knight g5. Actually, this could be really critical. If white can go knight f3 here, maybe knight takes f6, knight g5, knight f8, knight g5, then black doesn't get knight e6 under such comfortable territory, right? I don't think we're going to want to play this position as black. So that might have been a very important tempo. What bind are we talking about? I don't see any binds. I mean, white could play knight f3 here. Oh, sorry, on knight f8, white could play knight f3, but then we go knight e6. I don't think we're really worried about this as black. I mean, our king is on the queen side. I mean, if we want to, we can go rook g8 and even threaten g5. And then go rook g6. Yeah, with knight on e6, I think we're not afraid of bishop h6. If we absolutely have to trade this one off, we can. But I don't think the bishop is actually all that bothersome. I think white just has like some advanced pawns, but all of black's pieces have found good squares. So h5, h4 was played. Bishop f8. Again, I think knight f8 was probably the best move there. But bishop f8, okay, he's heading towards h6. That definitely makes sense. But now, again, I would expect knight f3. There we go. Ooh, Michael running low on time. He's going to have to be careful here. Or maybe he feels very comfortable with the 10-second increment. Well, I will take on f7 in that line, right? And if queen e7 trying to be cheeky with queen takes h4, then bishop g5, counter cheeky. And I think the fun runs out. Okay, black is calculating. I think it's good that he's spending his time here because he has a nice time advantage. Position is very complicated and there might be some nuance. Probably taking on f6 I think is too risky. I think he should go with bishop h6. But then white takes, knight g5. At least this is something for white, although I don't think white is any better actually. Like, he has this space, but I don't see how exactly he's breaking through, and we're just gonna back up or maybe play knight h7. Yeah, probably back up first, then knight h7, challenge the knight, and white still needs to break through to actually do something. Yeah, well, f6 I think f6 is a really, really questionable move. I mean, here I feel like white can do anything and is comfortable. Knight c4, king h1. Like, black is not, I don't think this was ever a threat. I mean, for one, you can take with the pawn and put your knight on e4, but you can also take with the rook. And strategically, I think this is like a pretty nice achievement to get this kind of open f file. So white should be somewhat better here, I think. Oh, knight takes f6, knight g5. Okay, well now game is getting tactical. Maybe actually just bishop g7 here for black. He can defend his knight and keep his extra pawn, but white will have some pressure. Although, is it enough? Like bishop g7, and then we're gonna go rook f8 and knight g4. And if we get all those moves in, then black will just be up a pawn. Well, eventually, but will white be in time? Because once the knight gets to g4, black is black is all right. I think f6 could be sustainable, definitely. Yeah, because black will play like knight g4 and then maybe eventually f6. Okay, bishop g7 and then b4. Wow. Quickly, too. Rook d7. Well, black's next move is knight g4, and then white is going to have to show what he has. I mean, it's hard to use this extra pawn. It's not like black is necessarily better, but one day he will be. Actually, yeah, black's idea here could be to play knight g4, bishop h6, and then just take this one. Just have bishop versus knight, extra pawn, call it a day. You know, play from there. A pawn's a pawn. Yeah, exactly right, Pulsey. Pulsey called this whole thing. Pulsey was the only one who thought we could take the pawn and get away with it. No, I don't think h5, yeah, was all that useful. Exactly. I think the knight needed to go to e6. Okay, b5. Black goes c5, keeping everything closed. Makes sense. Now maybe white goes a5, tries to go b6. Oh, he just goes b6 right away. Very interesting. So Michael has gone into full, I think, full swindle mode. I don't know if he really needed this though. I mean, he could have played a5 and then threatened b6, opening stuff up. I mean, it's not like black has any huge threats. He can go knight g4, but then we get b6, you know, and then maybe we have some play, especially because f7 is hanging, right? So I think he might have rushed this one a little bit. I don't think this was actually really necessary. I don't think the situation was like desperate for white. Yeah, not clear how black... Right, yeah, it feels like a panic, exactly. No, I haven't read Smyrna's book. But it looked interesting. I like swindles. I love a good swindle. Okay, queen c6. I'm not sure what queen c6 is about. Like, is he trying to take the a pawn? Because we don't need this one. I think here black should be playing knight g4. Or maybe no, he was trying to meet a5 with b5 probably. I think that was the idea. So now if white goes a5, he can go b5, so white goes rook b5. But now he can't go a5, so knight g4. Oh, but this hangs f7. Can white take this one? This might be an error. Although, I don't know. Maybe black doesn't mind so much because he's going to get rook f8. So this could just be Dylan giving back the pawn to get some activity. I mean, he's now 2 pawns up, so he can definitely afford to give one back. Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds like a good book. You can save a lot of points from losing positions. I think one of the most important things on that topic is just mindset, like having the belief that, you know, you think you're going to be able to get back into it. Okay, f6. So Michael didn't want to take the pawn. Maybe it was risky, but now black is kicking white's knight off of g5. And white is going to have to go backwards. So black looks very much in control. This is now feeling like 2 pawns up. We'll see what Dylan's technique is like. He seems reasonably calm. Michael is the one who maybe appears to be more nervous. He's down to a minute, so black in good shape, but things can change. Okay, bishop h6. Trading off dark squared bishops, maybe opening up knight e3 possibilities. Definitely feels like a good idea. Dylan is playing black. Yeah, the players can hear me. They're just incredible actors that don't flinch as I discuss them and their moves constantly. They're just stone cold like performers. No, what delay? We're on the Zoom call together. There's no delay. Yeah, 10-second increment. They're playing 15-10. Actually, this is the same time control as our rapid match that's coming up on Saturday. Hopefully a few of you guys are playing. Pulsey, Sunny, Laurent, Charlie. We'll be doing a rapid match Saturday, 10 a.m. You would be so panicked. What do I think of Rook B3? Looks okay, but I don't understand the idea. Like, what are you trying to do? Oh, it's late for you, Charlie, huh? Well, I mean, we did it, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that's about as early as we can do it for the rest of the world. Oh, a5, rook fb1. Why not just rook fb1 right away and then you're threatening a5? Yeah, all good. Well, I would say the trick to playing in front of a bunch of people is to not think about it. I think it's harder when you're in person and there's like 50 people watching you. Hopefully these guys like aren't thinking about the stream too much. Yeah. Why isn't black playing knight e3? Well, now b pawn is hanging. I don't know. It feels like black has been struggling last couple of moves, coming up with a winning plan. He traded bishops, went queen e6, which I didn't really understand, to be honest. Rook fb1, and now he's thinking about what to do. Because on rook d6, there's a5. Actually, white could have played a5 on the last move as well. Yeah, I don't like queen e6 at all. It kind of loosens the pawn. What Dylan needed to do, I think, was just back the rook up. Just put this rook on a normal square again. Or go knight e3. Rook b1. And maybe like king c7 or something, like defend this way. I think black is definitely okay with this kind of trade, given that position is generally kind of solid, and once the rooks get active, then they're going to kind of dominate stuff. But okay, if white plays a5, maybe we can take this one. Anyway, let's get back to the game. We have queen e6, knight e3. Oh, so he was going to just allow rook takes b6 and try to play like queen g4 or something. So knight d2. Well, this one's sharp because it's not obvious how black is going to like attack the king side. I think he has to play this one in a more technical manner. Could take on c2 here, but then knight c4 is going to be a problem. So I'm not sure if he really wants to do that. Probably I would just go king c7. Just defend this one. Or again, like just getting the rook back in is a big priority. So for Dylan, I think there was a couple moments where he could have just like improved his pieces, but instead ended up doing something a little bit unusual. Like this rook shouldn't be sitting on h6 for this long. And then earlier he could have like improved his knight f8, knight e6. That's kind of developing pattern. Yeah, knight d1. Oh, and he's got knight c3 coming. But now the game is messy. And who knows what's happening, because white has queen f8 check. See, this is the problem. Like, you leave this rook on h6 for too long, eventually it burns you. Imagine this rook was on h7. He can go rook f7 here and like just win the game. So yeah, we're gonna see a time scramble here, that's for sure. Now black does have knight e2 check. This could be really dangerous if king h2, queen takes h4. If king f2, maybe rook f7. That could have been extremely dangerous for white. Here I think white has picked up the piece and is now in control. Yeah, Michael should be winning this one. Maybe a missed opportunity for black. Check. Oh, but rook f7, he has knight f3, so this was not... I don't think this was working for black. Now white has to be a little bit careful, but his extra knight should be enough. Queen g3. I just take on e2 as white there, and then I mean, black doesn't have any material. Oh, you guys are talking about the other line. Oh, I see. Okay, let's check that one. Oh, this line. Hold on. Check. So if takes, this can be extremely dangerous. But white does have some checks, so I don't know. I think white might be okay here. He's gonna have a lot of checks. I don't know, very unclear. Yeah, rook a5 exactly, and then queen has like queen c5, and yeah, it just continues. Or was queen hitting b7? Then yeah, rook a5, queen b7 mate exactly. So it's very unclear. I'm not exactly sure. Now this one's basically over because knight on f1 just defends white's king very comfortably, and then white can just focus on pushing the e pawn. Why wouldn't queen take knight? Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe earlier could have been possible. Okay, e5. Oh, that's no good. Could have continued their queen e2, maybe would have been a little bit tricky for white. Alright guys, nice game.
Thanks. Kostya, did you want to analyze after both games, or should we analyze in between?
I think we should talk about this one first.
Sure.
Let me pull it into an analysis board. Okay, so let's talk about it. So yeah, what I want to do is have this like a model for players who are like doing their own training. So basically, why don't you guys just talk about the games and try to figure out where the critical moments were, what you should have done differently.
So I mean, from the beginning, like my main repertoire is to play one knight f3, so Baretti. So I knew like Dylan was going to work hard at prepping his Slav against.
I was pretty sure there was a chance you were going to play the bird today. So.
Oh really? Okay. Well, okay. My surprise weapon didn't work, but in my head I thought, okay, the birds is a Dutch with one tempo up, and maybe that tempo isn't always great, but since I know my opponent, this is the problem with being training partners, right? I know my opponent, I know his style, I know his openings. So I knew that he was going to play this triangle setup, you know, whatever I play as white. So if he's not going to challenge me playing the birds, then I'm essentially playing a Dutch tempo up. And for me, that felt like enough reason to play it. So yeah, I don't know, like the opening this bishop g4 line, I feel like it's not as pressing as in with like the colors reversed, because I have time for this bishop e2, and I just have enough time to meet black's e5 push with e4. So as a Dutch player, then I feel like in this position, I'm already I'm sure the position's equal, or maybe
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this is.
But as a Dutch player, I'm happy.
I mean, yeah, you are playing Dutch tempo up, but you should be trying to not just equalize, right? This seems like it. Like if I get e5 in early enough, then I should be just fine, even if you have this e4. Like I'm not sure if d4 was completely accurate. I mean, it's sort of my style, and I thought I would just play against the bishops, grab some space, justify giving up the bishop there, and I should be, just fine. But
I feel like when I see the center close with the move d4, it means that I have a lot more opportunity to attack on the wings. And, as I'm already like tailoring an attack, at least somewhere on the board, I felt like I was happy to see that move. But I mean, objectively, again, I'm sure it's completely playable.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Let me ask Dylan, on bishop takes f3,
yep.
Why take so quickly? Why not go like knight f6 first, see if white goes like h3 or something?
Yeah, and I was debating even going knight f6 before bishop d4. This might have been more accurate. I kind of forgot my exact move order, but I knew the idea was just to get a quick e5 in, and I thought it would transpose either way. And maybe the knight wants to go to e7 sometimes.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so actually let's go to, okay, e4, d4, castles, bishop d6, bishop g4. Yeah, take us through this one, Michael. What was bishop g4 about? And then a4.
Okay. Yeah, so my logic here was, okay, in this position, there's a double attack on my f4 pawn. I can try defend it awkwardly with g3, but I didn't. I don't know how comfortable I was with recapturing the pawn. Maybe it's completely good, but my logic with bishop g4 was that okay, for starters, it's defending the pawn twice. My bishop, if you look at my pawn chain, I've got pawns on c2, d3, e4. So the light squared bishop is intrinsically like a bad piece in this exact pawn structure. So I don't mind trading the piece. And my idea after bishop g4, I felt like a4 so I could play knight a3 and knight c4 because I didn't want to play knight d2 blocking the bishop's protection on f4. So I thought, okay, play a4 first because then that stops black from playing b5 so easily. And also if I play knight a3, if ever bishop takes a3, I can play rook takes a3 and maybe bring my rook to b3 could be useful. So yeah, I guess I didn't see like a more useful move than bishop g4 at that point.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So David was watching. David Pruitt was watching the stream at this point. He had a nice suggestion to go c3 for white,
Okay.
which might be surprising because I know your idea is basically to keep this like steady and just attack the king side. But you are also kind of ahead in development, and like if you get c3 quickly, you have like queen b3 ideas. Well, immediately you're putting pressure on black because you're threatening to take and force them to take with the pawn, and then you would get this like nice center. But then
Right.
if black is forced to go c5, then okay, like your bishop is just long term happier. And
Yes.
and now you never have to worry about this one, right? Because you'll just have e5 or just in general just kind of more. So this was possible.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Yeah, in general, when I was pushing d4, the c3 move was what I was mostly worried about. I knew this was kind of the best chance to put pressure on my center.
Yeah, and then let's see, for black, you could also consider taking here.
Yeah, I was wondering whether d4 was correct. I spent some time here.
I think d4 is playable, but might not be best.
Yeah, I was worried that I didn't have. I mean, white's about to castle, and if I open the position right now, it seems like I'm not quite ready to open the position.
Yeah. What would you do on this one, Michael?
I was planning on playing pawn takes.
So probably pawn takes. Yeah, I think this is right. So this is possible because like, it'd be a little bit different, but like you play bishop c5, maybe knight f6. White would have to figure something out about the king. Not sure. This one might be like a concrete way for black to just equalize.
Yeah, I missed bishop c5 actually. That's a really nice idea.
Yeah, I missed this too.
I mean, I wasn't really thinking about this one during the game. I'm just looking at it now, but this feels pretty interesting for black, at least compared, because I feel like white got at least a small edge out of the opening. Could have been bigger with c3. But yeah, let's go through it. So a4, queen c7. Okay, then we take and shut things down. Castles, knight d2. Okay, next question is for Michael. What was your thought process with f6?
So I saw this fun line if, well, okay, the pawn is vulnerable because it's not protected by any pawns and it won't be easily protected. But I saw this fun line where, okay, if black also can't attack it too easily. Like this bishop on d6 is a dark squared bishop, there's no way for it to attack it. So I saw, I don't know, maybe rook e8, rook e6 as an idea. But I looked at this line where after rook e8, I played knight c4, rook e6, and then bishop h6. And if he tries to take the pawn, then I've got bishop g7 at the end. That way. I really looked with the rook on d8. That's embarrassing. Yeah.
Oh, rook on. Oh no, I just didn't know which rook you meant. Yeah. I just picked at random.
Oh, okay. But actually, the rook on the rook h. If the rook on the h file goes to e8, then I thought I could just play bishop g5 to defend the pawn because then you don't have h6.
Yeah.
But maybe
This rook lift looks too artificial. I wasn't like I saw that this was an option to try to recapture the pawn, but Yeah, I figured playing around it would be better for now.
So, well, I get that. Like, so you felt like f6 was like you could hold on to the pawn, but what was the point behind the move?
Yeah, positionally, like I just wanted to close the lines. I didn't want to give black any opportunity to open up the king side. And even if black were to recapture the pawn, you'd have to spend a lot of tempi doing so. And in the meantime, I can advance my attack on the queen side.
Gotcha. Okay, so I felt like f6 was kind of inaccurate. Chat also felt this way, to be fair, and we got some strong players like 22, 2100s watching.
Okay, cool.
Um, Mainly because it actually doesn't feel like GF is such a threat. I was actually thinking you can make any move like knight c4, maybe even king h1, and if black does take here, probably you could recapture either way. Like you can definitely consider ef and then putting your knight on e4. Maybe simpler is just rook takes, and then
Yeah.
strategically, like it's very difficult for black to do anything on the g file because like f and h are weak, and you've got the f file, you got the better bishop. Well, basically, white owns the king side, even though your king is on here, so it's not like you have to be
Yeah.
super
That's a really
careful.
Mhm.
And my guess is that Dylan, you weren't gonna just take next move.
No, I was not. No.
You would like
I
maybe
saw
build
this
up.
rook. I didn't like rook takes f5.
Hmm. But then why play g6 actually? Because I feel like if you're not gonna take, then you have maybe more useful things.
Yeah, I was thinking about what could be more useful, but like I also saw that I need to get my bishop involved somehow, and this g6 h5 idea might be a way to do that. And also, like at some point, I can take on f5, especially if he tries to play knight f3, which he did. I saw that I could take.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just to introduce some tension.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I actually wasn't sure what I would do as black here. In terms of moves you can make, like king b8, I think you can make here with a clear conscience. Like this probably always will be helpful for you. Depending on
This was
what
probably the moment to do that. Yeah.
depending on what white does with the knight, like you can think about different things. Like if he heads away from the queen side, then you can think about even going c5, c4. If he puts his knight on c4, you can think about trying to exchange with like knight b6, or maybe putting your knight more on the king side. So maybe it's another flexible move. I'm not sure. I think g6 is okay. So now f6, h5. Okay, so this is connected with this idea, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't see that either, actually. I don't know. I guess I was too focused on, I don't know, my own plans. Yeah.
But
And I thought even that after bishop f8, bishop h6, I might want to remaneuver my knight from e7 to f8 to e6, and maybe eventually to f4.
right. So yeah, we felt like black should do this immediately with knight f8.
I thought attempting to get rid of the dark squared bishops would improve this outpost.
It does. I think it's more about because in the game, okay, white played h4. I was thinking probably white should just go knight f3 immediately and just plant the knight on g5. The problem is once white puts the knight on g5, we can't really challenge it. Okay, maybe f6 is hanging here. I'm not sure. We'd have to kind of calculate that. But if black goes knight f8 here, now knight g5, it's a lot harder to break this. Whereas if you just go knight f8 in this position, knight f3, knight e6, then knight g5, okay, you can take, you can go h6. Well, basically, yeah, just much more comfortable territory for black.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can start thinking about like maybe rounding this one up or like improving your bishop. I think this was the more pressing thing to do, basically.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, this was interesting. So then you take, which I gotta commend you for that, because if
Yeah,
you
bishop
feel like you can grab the pawn, absolutely.
Bishop g5, knight g4, knight e3. I at least have counterplay. And I was
This one.
unsure about what the evaluation of this after bishop takes d8, queen takes d8, and queen somewhere, or rook somewhere. I don't know. Knight e3. I didn't really know exactly the evaluation of this position. Maybe not knight e3 right away, but
Yeah, let's take a look. What would you think, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like, okay, Black's pieces aren't too coordinated to justify an attack like this, but maybe in the long term, if Black can just improve his pieces and then slowly attack the White King, how is White going to really defend? Or I guess White can eventually like open up the center with maybe a move like C3 or something and try and get the rooks active. Like I feel like White has to be better. I don't think there's enough compensation, but there's definitely chances for White to go wrong.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
certainly it's
pretty rich defense here in
it's
close position.
tough position. Yeah, I would say it's unclear. If this pawn was on h2, then okay, definitely white is better because you're safe. But with
Right.
this pawn on h4, it's like it's always something to target for black. Um,
Right.
Yeah, and maybe I can't play 96, 93 there because of 95. But
yeah, but you just see this is the position where you just kind of play as if you're not down material. It's like okay, you have a bishop, or I have a bishop, you have a rook. You make a move, I make a move. You just play chess, like you improve your position, and like we'll see whose pieces end up stronger.
right, right.
Um,
Bishop h6.
yeah, exactly. So you play this one next.
Yeah.
Maybe put the
No.
bishop on e3, maybe g5 somewhere, and kind of slowly put some pressure. But I don't know. I probably white. I doubt white is really doubt white is worse, but it's just tricky to play. But interesting. So, I mean, on bishop g5, you could also go. Can you go bishop g7?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, maybe you don't even have to sack. Kind of like in the game, you can hold on.
Can I put enough pressure on it? Like, let's say knight d2.
Yeah, definitely. d2. Let's say rook d6.
And knight g4 is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to the game. White has knight c4, maybe queen f3.
Hmm.
It's not clear. It's definitely some pressure there.
Yeah. Maybe this was the better way to do things because in the end, like,
Yeah, I thought
my knight had to go back from g5 to the queen side where it really belonged, and the bishop on c1 didn't really do much. So maybe putting in the bishop on g5 would have been a better way.
Yeah.
I guess the one advantage of having the knight on g5 is that it does tie down black's pieces on the king side a bit better than the bishop, I think.
Right. Yeah, no, I thought white had like pretty reasonable compensation here. Personally, pretty sure I would take black at this point because I feel like, well, it feels like black has this plan like knight g4, f6, and you eventually kind of like break out. So it's up to white to put some pressure. Okay, we did feel like b6 though was actually pretty rushed. What if you just go a5 here, Michael?
Okay, a5, let's say a move like queen d6.
Queen somewhere, yeah.
Queen d6, right. And so, what were you worried about here? That the play was just going to run out?
The idea is, like, I don't know, if I pushed a6 or b6, he'd just push the other pawn and block the position. That's what I worried about. So I felt like b6 was needed immediately.
I see. I mean,
And I was actually worried about... Sorry, yeah, continue.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, in this... which position? I think here. Yeah, like, I was kind of worried if black had time to play b6 himself. Because then if I ever play b5, he can play c5. If I ever play a5, he can play b5 and just try and keep that side of the board closed.
Right. I mean, it's just not the end of the story. Like, let's say we give black a move. We go just bishop d2, for example. You go b6. Well, you can always open the a file and you put your heavy pieces there.
True.
So
Yeah.
it's a matter of like, it's like principle of two weaknesses, and you're just trying to kind of stretch the the opponent can think about putting the queen. With the other example, it might even be a more interesting one because yeah, it often looks like there's nothing to do. But you do have ideas of putting pressure on c5 and maybe even like some c3 in the future. I mean, it would have to be very concrete, of course, but my feeling was that it's not that easy for black to make progress. Like he still has to cover f7 and then play knight g4 and f6, and so, well, while he's doing that, you can try to organize c3, and yeah, basically I didn't feel like it was critical. I mean, did you think you're like worse at this point, or did you just think like it's good play?
I thought probably the best play it's worse, but I thought I definitely had chances. Like I liked how
Yeah.
I had tracks on both sides of the board, and for my style, I felt like I've got everything I wanted. So yeah.
Well, no, fair enough. I mean, you definitely do have chances here. I wasn't sure whether it was desperation or not, as I felt like black is maybe slightly better, and now with b6, I thought like, okay, well now it's two pawns, so
Right.
if black is accurate, like you were saying earlier, then it should have an advantage, but that's always hard to do.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's interesting to find out. I don't know. For rapid, I think it's totally valid to play like this. In classical, you do run a lot more risk of kind of because you also make it easy for your opponent. Like when you play b6, I mean, it's probably wasn't too tough of a decision to take with the a pawn here. I'm guessing like you could take with the queen also. Actually, maybe that's possible too.
Yeah, they both looked okay. I thought if queen b6, then maybe a5, and the pawn is. No, I can just go b6 if he pushes with a6. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, why don't
So,
has this
sorry,
move
what's
file?
the idea of queen b6? I mean, we can play like bishop d2, rook b1, and just it's an open file. I don't know. To me, it seems like
It's an open file, but it's very well defended. The b pawn.
Yeah, it's easier to defend b7 than b6 for black.
right.
So there is some point, yeah, but I think white still has play with the open lines. I mean, intuitively, I like AB more, but I don't know. Queen b6 could be possible. Basically, when you play a5 though in this kind of position, you give black more chances to go wrong. Because okay, maybe he doesn't go queen d6 for one. Maybe he allows you to play b6. That would be quite nice. But then later on, basically by keeping the tension and not forcing things, you give black an option, like 5 different moves in every position. You can go king b8, knight g4, bishop h6, and yeah, there's always possibilities. A very strong GM said like the secret to beating lower rated players is giving them a choice, like a wide choice.
So cool.
just giving them like enough rope. Not that you're necessarily playing down, but you're the one that's kind of trying to generate chances. So when you're the one that's trying to generate the initiative, you have to. I think it's practical to give your opponent actually wide options to think about.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on. So bishop h6 takes queen e2. Now queen e6 was maybe the next moment.
Yeah, here I started to play what I thought would probably be inaccurately. I didn't know what I should do here.
Yeah, definitely felt like it's always the telltale sign. It's like spending time because I think at this point, Dylan, you had like 4 minutes. I think you were doing really well. It was like 4 versus 1 maybe. And then this is where you started burning a lot of time. So yeah, let's talk about this one. What is your thought process here? What to do?
I mean, my first glance at queen e6, preparing rook d6, I sort of just blanked on a5. When after b takes a, then the b7 pawn would be hanging. In lines where white's f rook comes to b1, of course. But also I'm, preparing knight e3, and maybe the queen can come into g4. But again, I wasn't satisfied with this because the g pawn isn't really weak. And queen is defending it just fine. So I couldn't really come up with any way to make progress here. I didn't like f5 or g5. Maybe I didn't have good enough reasons for discounting these moves.
Okay. Were you worried about white going like rook fb1 next?
Yeah, of course. This seems like an automatic move.
Yeah, gotcha. And what would you think, like, let's say you play some move, white goes rook fb1, you go king c7. What do you think about allowing white to take on b6?
Yeah, I looked at this. So let's go forward a couple moves. What actually happened? Okay, yeah.
We'll say king c7 here, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, of course, here, like, white can play, like, a5 might be a better move, but, yeah, just for example, like, king c7,
Oh.
how would you guys feel about this position after rook b6?
For some reason, I saw that king c7 and this exchange of rooks for queen would be okay for me. That's how I felt about it. But I didn't play it for some unknown reason.
I don't know. Okay, I've still got a knight. Like I feel like
Yeah, the knight.
I would be pushing to win this with the queen and knight, and the fact that the queen side is kind of open. Like if black is just sitting and trying to just hold everything. I don't think like.
No, I don't think he's just sitting after something like g5 or f5. I mean, I have all the time in the world. I think black can double on one of those files, open the position.
Yeah, true. The knight on g4 is really well placed, I have to say. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious, because if you're okay with king c7, then, like, that's your solution to the b6 problem. In fact, you could even just play it here ahead of time if it feels, because I think it's a useful move. And then on rook fb1, okay, you can basically do anything, knight e3 or something else. I do feel like, yeah, if we just had this. So main thing I wanted to say for you, Dylan, is I think you really should have just been thinking about your h6 rook here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, I feel like in this position, yeah, this rook is the most misplaced piece. So we just play rook h7, guard the b7 pawn, and then bring the other rook to d6. And because, yeah, I think like it's worth like accepting that white's attack is something significant and should spend some time like making sure that it doesn't break free. So I think, yeah, rook h7 is at least my choice of moves. Like I thought if king c7, I can play rook b1, and I can always increase pressure with queen d2, a5. And I feel like the king is not a worthy defender of these weak pawns. Much better would be the rook that's doing nothing on h6 to be on h7.
Well, I mean, the b7 pawn is adequately defended, so I don't know that it's needed on h7. My rationale of leaving it there was that maybe g5 and the rook can, in one move, swing to g6 or something like that. I don't know. It never happened, of course, but...
Right, but I mean, in your analysis earlier, you were saying how you wanted to move your rook to d6, but in some lines, after a5, the b7 pawn would become weak. Okay, we've...
Yeah, but my solution is king c7. I mean,
No.
if my solution is king c7, then I don't need the rook on h7, of course.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think so. Again, I would say moving this one back was one of the most pressing things to do here. Then you can decide later if you want to go like king c7 or rook d6. I mean, Michael has a good point. Like with queen d2 and a5, this can definitely be annoying. At least we would need some answer for this. One idea would be actually to put the rook on h8 and then have it ready to go to a8 maybe as an option. But yeah, I think that was the thing to do here, mainly because, like, okay, so g5 and rook g6 is possible, but you don't really lose this if the rook is on h8. You can always bring the rook to the g file, but of course what you gain is like access to everything else too if you need.
I glanced at rook h8 for the very reason of king c7 and rook a8, but I felt like it was too slow and it was playing into white's initiative.
But the idea is not to necessarily play rook 8. It's more just like your rook is just much more mobile on h8, much more flexible. And so, because you don't know, you might need it on the F file, you might want it on the G file, you might end up needing it on the A file. But on H6, then it's basically just out of the game until you get it back in.
So it's not like this is a critical moment where I need to actually like strike on the king side in order to prove something. I actually have time here. I didn't really realize that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're 2 pawns up. So if you trade off like a pair of rooks, or if you trade queens, you don't have to do anything to win the game. You know, you're just simplifying and trading into a winning endgame. Like basically any simple endgame for black here should be good, like rook endgame, knight endgame. Especially knight endgame, you have this knight on g4, like white can't really do anything. So yeah, I think black is in kind of technical mode here, just trying to... It doesn't mean you don't play for the initiative. Like, if white doesn't do anything on the queen side, then absolutely you should go rook g8 and g5, knight e3, and just checkmate him on g2. But since you're up material, you have more than one way of trying to convert your advantage.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense.
And I guess to put it simply, like, you have a material advantage, but not necessarily a dynamic one. Like, I wouldn't say black's pieces are more active here than white's pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from here, game got very sharp. Knight e3, knight d2. So what was going on here? If you take on b6, queen g4, or...
Yeah, I don't know. I thought like, okay, if I'm gonna go for this attack, I want all of my pieces in the attack. So I'd rather my knight to be on c4 when I'm taking on b6, and I felt like I'm gonna be able to take on b6 eventually. So yeah, I just wanted to maximize my pieces before cashing in.
Yeah, fair enough. Knight d2 heading to c4. Let's see. So queen g4, queen f2. Oh yeah, game got so sharp here. Knight d1, queen takes f6, and yeah. Well, you see, it ended up being rook on h6 that really
Yeah,
hurts black here.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what's the evaluation after like rook h7 or. Do we have other
I feel like at this point, like who cares who's like up pawns or whatever? It's like whose pieces are better situated, and
Yeah,
I feel like
I was already hoping for some sort of like perpetual or something like that.
Yeah, I think you had an opportunity. At this point, maybe the best move is knight e3 back.
Okay.
Because I think this forces white to go back. And actually, I don't think you mind that you lost this f-pawn that much if you can keep your attack going. Maybe white should go queen f3 at this point. But I don't know, you have like... rook
am I
f7.
dropping d2 perhaps as well if queen takes queen?
Wait, what's that?
So if queen f3, queen takes.
Oh, and just take on c2.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, knight f3...
And c2, rook takes b6.
Take here. Yeah, it does feel like black
Maybe
does take a lot. Get a knight to be... I would imagine black is better there for sure. So yeah, this move also appeals to me.
Yeah, queen d knight back to e3 is really strong.
And then like
yeah.
Something like this could be dangerous for white. And then if queen f2, okay, again we have rook f7, but even if you don't see that one, then like simple like bringing your rook over is good. Yeah, I think well, I'm guessing Dylan, you probably missed queen takes f6 as a response just based on the time usage, right? So it was good that you paused here again and started thinking. Now at this point you were pretty low, so
I'm just wondering.
it's hard.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought, okay, after knight e3, maybe white has chances of a perpetual after queen check.
Oh yeah, this is definitely
Rook d8, rook takes c5.
right. So yeah, rook d8, take on c5, takes, and then yeah, maybe here.
Either perpetual or maybe white's mating.
Take.
You gotta be careful here. Am I just losing the rook? It has to be king c8, right?
Yeah, king c8.
What do you mean losing the rook?
If the king goes to the
Oh, okay. Yeah, true. Yeah. Okay, but at least I've got check again. D7 runs into rook takes d7, which I feel like you can't survive that. Yeah, it's mating 2.
Yeah, that's mate. So yeah, actually,
I think that was all forced.
this looks right. This one is definitely perpetual. Because we can just like kind of. Oh wait, there's still this one. Now we got check and back,
Take on e5.
or take here. Then king here, and then like. Actually, I'm not sure about that one. King c8 if takes on e5.
But then queen back to c5 check.
Go rook c7.
rook c7 immediately. E5, rook c7.
Oh yeah, this works.
Yeah. Queen can come back.
Yeah, now queen can come back. Right, rook. But
Right.
we can give. I think this one is pretty easy. So you just keep the king. The king stuck. Yeah, that looks like it's working. Probably at this point, black has other options too. Because for white, it's difficult. Rook takes b6 doesn't come with a huge threat. He still has to play knight c4, but I don't know if he wants to play knight c4 while our knight is on e3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was struggling with this.
So maybe you just have time for f5, or again, my choice would probably be like rook h7. I mean, knight d1 might be concretely good as well, but yeah, maybe just from practical standpoint. Okay, the last chance you might have had here is a knight e2 check. So the idea here is on king f2, we have rook f7.
Yeah.
And if king keeps running, then seeing knight c3 is very annoying. But we were trying to figure out like knight f3 check. This is the line we were looking at. Takes, and then black has to take with something, either queen or rook. So if rook, then white has counterplay. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
white has a perpetual at least, I'm sure.
This is exactly our feeling. Yeah, at least a perpetual and like maybe more.
Yeah.
You guys finished the game before we could figure all this out. But that looked but there I think black can force a perpetual if we go for that line. So it's not like I think if black wants to just make a draw, then you can.
Or maybe queen takes f3 instead of rook takes f3.
Maybe this one, yeah. I mean, it allows king d2.
And then there's a perpetual. Okay, we're running away. I see.
Yeah, it's still not clear actually. Like, who knows? These things are really hard to calculate. Looks like a draw actually.
Yeah, because you've got a4 and d1.
Yeah. And this rook is always ready to come in, and at some point maybe you even have like a quiet move and you win the game. So yeah, at least a draw for black here. But okay, again, this is like time scramble, so whatever. It's just like rapid. You can get better at this part of the game with like a lot of calculation and puzzles and stuff. Instead of king e1, king d1. Let's see. Oh, well, no. Then we got rook f2.
It's pretty decisive to me.
Oh, not here. Queen g2. Rook takes f3. Oh, king d1.
Okay, rook takes f3, and how is this different to the other line? We're threatening rook f1 mate, so white goes for that.
So second option here is for white to play king c1,
Ah, I see. Okay.
and then black isn't. I mean, it's it's still not clear.
But okay, I'm up a rook, so if I can mate you, I take white here.
Yeah, again, white has at least a draw with all these lines.
Yeah.
But that's a cool idea. Okay, yeah. Then I think that was basically it here.
Yeah,
I did
wouldn't.
think I played really poorly, allowing black to take the c2 pawn because it was completely unnecessary, and I was just kicking myself about it. Because
That's
yeah,
true.
It wasn't as bad as my blunder.
true, true. Yeah, taking on e5 was so bad. Like I thought, okay, I'll take on e5, give a check, and then I'll defend c2, and then I was like, oh, I can't defend c2. Ah, yeah,
Yeah, I guess here actually at the end, queen e2, and it's like
yeah,
not the most obvious
yeah.
win for white because if the knight moves, you'll have c4. Um,
I mean, I was thinking of playing queen f3, queen e4. I think this was my plan. But okay, I've got to count really carefully, and I don't know if that's working immediately even.
well, it's still
Oh
two
my, yeah.
pawns.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
Oh, I thought you were counting this. No, I mean you're still two pawns
Oh,
up,
no.
so it's probably still good for white. Yeah,
Yeah.
black doesn't have a ton of like pass pawn, and if they take,
I
then
think it's very misplaced.
this is like
Yeah.
yeah, you should be in time here with your king.
Right.
But I'm not worried too much about this part of the game. The rapid stuff, I mean, it's like so hard to play well with the increment.
I mean, what is the best strategy actually as white here? So, okay, you play queen f8 check and defend c2, and then what is the best plan? Or is this even the best plan?
So I would say here, basically,
King h2 maybe.
so one idea would be, yeah, just like your first job is just to bring the knight to f3. So maybe g3, king g2, and then knight h2, knight f3. I imagine if your queen is defending, then yeah, your knight can go take stuff. The way you played it in the game, I think, is also fine. In terms of just like having the knight defend your king and your queen being active. Maybe if you
Right.
just play like queen f3 here first. Because it was just
Yeah,
this
that's a
queen
really
e2
nice
move that makes it very annoying because it's like hard for you to move. But
Yeah.
if you just keep your queen centralized, then this should be pretty simple for white as well.
Yeah, it's a lovely move. Yeah.
You know, interesting game, guys. I mean, it feels like this was hopefully it was useful for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really useful.
very useful. Thanks.
Well, we went way over. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I don't have time to like to watch a full second game. Although you guys, of course, can play one and discuss all the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you would have us again, I'd love to love to play again on the channel. But yeah,
this
it's
is
been
great.
really great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. This was a lot of fun. We like doing like these like types of like coaching sessions on the stream. I think it was interesting for the group too. There was a lot of people discussing during the game as well. Sympathizing with you guys playing on stream in front of everyone, of course.
I mean, I think you
yeah.
can definitely expect some exciting games from us because our playing styles are like polar opposites. Like I like to attack and play on the initiative, and I feel like Dylan's a very solid, maybe more positionally sound player. So it's like, yeah, it's always gonna be some weird creation on the board.
Yeah, I definitely felt that actually watching watching the game.
Mhm.
Well, guys, Dylan and Michael, they have their own YouTube channel called Chess Lifestyle. You guys should go check them out, give them a follow. They do like vlog style videos about chess training, and they have real ambitions, you know, to make master. So I always love those channels that are like just documenting the journey. I think that's the best. And yeah, hopefully we'll have you guys back on the stream sometime. Do you guys have anything that you're doing soon? You want to let people know about?
For the channel.
Well, there's a video uploading tomorrow, which is called winning at chess with the initiative. So if you're inspired by this attacking play, then yeah, definitely go check out that game. I was playing some semi-final university match against an FM, and it went pretty well. So yeah, I'm discussing my ideas in that game, um, and yeah, giving some context about like why I think playing with the initiative is such a nice way to play chess as well.
And I just started a project of, so I'm a painter, an artist. I just graduated from UCL in London with an art degree. So I've been doing some paintings of world champions, chess world champions, and I'm going to do all of them and hopefully have an exhibition sometime. But I've been filming the process of making them and uploading them on our channel. So if you want to see
that's awesome.
some chess portraits in action, then
Mhm.
yeah, go subscribe to our channel.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I should mention actually Dylan has been helping us with our own YouTube channel. We're very appreciative of that. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys back. Wrap up the stream for now. I hope everyone has a great day. Take care, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.